what is up everybody? Welcome back to the Mid-Level Media channel, your hub for everything physical media and entertainment. I am Ken. Today guys, we are going to talk about Point Break on 4K. This is the latest 4K release from Shout Studios, and I have this nice, beautiful 4K Steelbook right here, which I'll do a little bit of an unboxing of towards the end of the video. So in this video, we're going to talk about the movie itself. This was my first time watching Point Break, directed by Kathryn Bigelow, starring Keanu Reeves, Patrick Swayze. Like, some of my favorite people are in this film. Gary Busey is in this film. One of the actresses from A League of Their Own, which I didn't even know she was in here, is in the movie. So great cast, and I'm excited to talk about this movie. We're also going to talk about the 4K picture quality here that Shout Studios did, and we're going to talk about the audio. We're going to talk about the special features, or the lack thereof. I'm going to complain about that a little bit, and I'm also going to talk about how it compares to the Blu-ray as well, because I do have the 2011, I believe, Warner Brothers Blu-ray right here. We're going to talk about a variety of things, but before we get into it, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. We talk about physical media, movies, and owning the movies that you love. All that stuff there behind me every single day here on this channel. So if you like 4Ks and Blu-rays and the art of owning things physically, hit the subscribe button, and then comment down below, guys, your thoughts on the film Point Break from 1991. Is this one of your favorite films from the 90s? One of your favorite action films of all time? Let me know in that comment section below. And then turn on bell notifications for all future videos, because I've got other stuff coming, guys. We've got Young Guns on 4K to talk about soon on this channel. So let's go ahead and get into Point Break. Again, came out in 1991. I don't know exactly how I missed this film. It just must never have been around when I was a kid. Nobody I was around ever watched this movie. I don't know. I don't even remember watching this movie on TV as a kid, but I was a big fan of 90s action films. I love Speed with Keanu Reeves. I probably watched Speed 50 to 60 times as a kid. Broken Arrow, I probably watched like 30 to 40 times. I love films like Face Off, Con Air, which I'm so excited we're getting Face Off next week on 4K. Like, I watched all kinds of 90s action films when I was a kid, but for whatever reason, I don't know if this just came out because it's an earlier 90s action film. I just kind of missed the boat on the hype train for it, but I just missed out on this one, and I never saw it, and I always heard about it. I always heard about people referencing this film. I am an FBI agent, which was awesome to hear, like, in real time in the film. But I just never watched it, and I'm happy to report, because this movie has a lot of hype behind it. I feel like a lot of people, every time you bring up Point Break, they're like, that's one of the greatest films of the 90s. Like, without hesitation, that's what everybody says. So I was a little worried that because the hype was so up to here, that I was going to be let down, I was going to be disappointed, and I absolutely was not. I absolutely loved this movie, and how could you not like a movie with Keanu Reeves and Patrick Swayze? They're like two of my favorite people ever, like, of all time acting. I watched Roadhouse for the first time last year with that gorgeous Vinegar Syndrome edition with Patrick Swayze, and I loved that movie as well. So this was just a lot of fun, and right away I got the comparison, because I grew up watching The Fast and the Furious. I watched that when I was a teenager. I loved the first Fast and the Furious movies, not so much all the sequels that they're doing now, but I got the comparison like right away, because everybody said that Fast and Furious was basically a remake of Point Break, and that is absolutely true. If you've seen Fast and the Furious, Keanu Reeves is basically playing Paul Walker's character, and Patrick Swayze is basically playing Vin Diesel's character. So you take that concept in Fast and the Furious, Keanu Reeves is an FBI agent, Patrick Swayze is a surfer, not a race car driver, and they rob banks, and Keanu Reeves is trying to figure out who's robbing these banks. So he goes undercover, gets in with the surfers, because Gary Busey, his partner, has the suspicion that it's surfers that are doing these bank robbings. And you get the Ronald Reagan reference from the beginning of the movie, because they rob the banks dressed like the American presidents, which was a pretty cool gimmick in the movie. But yeah, I just really like this film. It moves. It's 2 hours long, and I was kind of tired when I watched the movie, but like, I was engaged the entire time. I didn't get on my phone at all. Like, I was just completely entertained through the entirety of this film. And I will say I was a little disappointed, because I don't feel like Patrick Swayze was in this movie enough. This really is Keanu's film. Like, he is front and center in the movie, and you're kind of following him along the entire film. I don't feel like we got enough of Patrick Swayze from his perspective in the film. And I don't want to go into spoiler details, but by the time we get to the end of this movie, his character is more one note than I would have liked. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more nuance, kind of what they did with the Fast and the Furious, to be honest. But that's really my only criticism with the film. I really enjoyed it throughout. And, you know, Patrick Swayze, with the parts that he's in, that's probably why I'm complaining so much about him not being in it, because he's so charismatic and so likable in every aspect and part of his performance in this movie. And I loved his character, and I just wanted to see more. And I like Keanu, but Keanu is Keanu, guys. You've seen Keanu in one movie, you've seen him in all the movies. He's great in everything, but he's kind of similar. He plays similar types and characters in a lot of movies, especially in this time period of his career. But really great action in this film. I love Gary Busey. I love the dynamic between him and Keanu Reeves in this film. Keanu has to play off a lot of people in this movie. He has to play off Gary Busey. He has to play off, you know, Patrick Swayze. He has to play off I cannot think of the actress's name, but she is in A League of Their Own, and I love her in that movie. I love her in this movie. She's not in enough movies, I don't feel like, or maybe I just haven't seen enough movies with her, but she's a really great actress. And yeah, I don't know what else to say about this movie other than I really enjoyed it, and it lived up to the hype for me. You know, the surfing sequences are great, very well directed by Catherine Bigelow. The skydiving sequences are awesome. There's just some really great bank robbery sequences, heist sequences. There's a lot of stuff going on in this movie. It's an action, it's a heist movie. You know, and I just think that it moves, has a great pace to it, and a great payoff to the film by the time you get to the end of the movie. There was a point where I thought it was going to end one place, and then it goes on a little bit further, and I actually really enjoyed the ending that we got with this movie. So highly recommend it as a film. If you haven't seen Point Break and you're into these type of action films, if you like Fast and the Furious, like, definitely go back and check out Point Break because they're very similar. Now, getting into the 4K transfer here by Shout Studios. So this restoration was really a long time coming because this Blu-ray, this particular Blu-ray came out in 2011, but they did the initial scan of the Blu-ray back in 2008, and 20th Century Fox did it. So somewhere along the lines, they got the rights to this movie, and then Warner Brothers got the rights to it in 2011, and they did a Blu-ray. And that's the Blu-ray that I have right here. So I don't think there's a difference in Blu-ray scans here. I don't think they did a new scan. They just kind of copied the previous scan. So this hasn't gotten an upgrade in 15 years. So this is definitely a much needed upgrade. I did pop in this Blu-ray and it looks okay, but the thing about the Blu-rays at this time, back in 2007, back in 2008, is they're almost just one notch above DVD. You can just they're really low quality, to be honest. A lot of the Blu-rays that I've seen from that time just don't look great. I'm thinking of Reservoir Dogs that came out in 2007, 2008. Really bad Blu-ray transfer. This isn't quite that bad, but it's definitely not great. So this was a much needed upgrade, and Shout Studios, Shout Factory, Screen Factory, whatever you want to call them, they've been on a roll this year with their upgrades. They've been doing they have really figured out the 4K format, how to do proper 4K restorations. This is a native 4K. You got Dolby Vision, you got HDR10, and I thought this looked beautiful across the board. Now, what I was noticing, it's a very dark movie. I feel like a lot of the scenes take place at night, or either like on the sunset or at dusk. So a lot of this film, I feel like, takes place at night. So there's a lot of darker scenes, but you can make everything out because the black levels are so incredibly strong. There's such depth to this just across the board. Some of the surfing sequences just looked stunning in 4K. Now, a couple of them, when they did those wide shots pulled out, didn't look the best. You can tell they couldn't properly restore all of the elements there, but I thought for the most part, across the board, this was a very strong 4K restoration. A lot of clarity there, a lot of clarity in the close-up images. You have a lot of, Keanu Reeves with some rain on him in this movie. I feel like he's always got rain on his face. In the film, you can see all the little droplets all over his skin. But just some stunning action set piece moments in the film. There's a lot of sequences of them walking on the pier, on the boardwalk, on the beach. All those looked great. There's a lot of colors in those sequences. It takes place in California, so you have those rich, warm sunsets, and all of it looked great. So I think that this 4K looked absolutely fantastic, and it's certainly a massive upgrade over this Blu-ray that came out in 2008. So if you were on the fence about upgrading this from your Blu-ray, do not hesitate because you're worried about the picture quality, because Shout Studios did a magnificent job upgrading this film to 4K. Now getting into the audio here, you have the DTS HD Master Audio 5.1 and you have DTS HD Master Audio 2.0. So no audio upgrade here. And I don't know if Dolby Atmos would have helped this film, if it was possible for them to do it or not, or why they didn't do it. But I feel like Dolby Atmos would have really added a lot to the sound here. I just feel like with the waves crashing in, some of those surfing, moments, I feel like it would have sounded great in Dolby Atmos. But the 5.1 sounds very good. You can still hear the waves crashing kind of all around you. I'm just listening to this on a soundbar that simulates that 5.1, that Dolby Atmos setup. I got the subwoofer, so you could hear all that. The music in this movie is great as well. And really good sound. I just think that it would have benefited from that Dolby Atmos upgrade. Not exactly sure why Shout Studios didn't do that here. Now getting into the Steelbook unboxing right here, there is a slipcover option that is available for $29.99. Now this Steelbook is a Best Buy exclusive Steelbook. It's available for $33.99, but it may sell out pretty quickly. It is still available right now, but the front of this Steelbook, I love. It just jumped out to me as soon as I saw it. I don't always collect all these Shout Factory, Screen Factory Steelbooks. In fact, I usually just get the slipcovers, and I like collecting those and having those uniform, but I thought with this one, because I like this Steelbook so much, I would go ahead and buy it. And I am not disappointed. It's a really beautiful Steelbook. The artwork's awesome. You got Ronald Reagan on the front cover. You got the Point Break with some nice fire and explosions right there. You got some good spine action right here. You got all the American president robbers on the back with the money flying everywhere, which is definitely really cool. And you open it up, you got the 2 discs, you got some of the beach surfing sequences imaged on the inside and the artwork right there, so that's very cool. Some good artwork on the disc. You do have the 4K Ultra HD disc, and you have the Blu-ray, which the 4K does not have any of the special features. The Blu-ray has all of the special features in this release. But speaking of the special features here, this is where I will go ahead and give you my one massive disappointment with this release, and that is the complete lack of special features in here. There is nothing new in this release at all in terms of special features, and I'm not exactly sure why. It just feels like at this point, especially with the boutique labels, it is unacceptable to put something out there without anything new added to it. You know, I can understand if they did this 5 years ago and they added new special features and they were just upgrading it to 4K and they didn't add anything new. Fine, I'll still complain about it a little bit because I think you should always add something new, but at least you have, some updated features. This right here just has the same Blu-ray features that came out back in 2008. There's 4 featurettes, which honestly, they're not very lengthy and don't really go in depth. And there's some additional scenes, and there's a theatrical trailer. So that is all that's present on this release, is the same exact special features that they did 15 years ago, which I think is just unacceptable. Maybe it has something to do with the actors' strike, whatever. I just think that you could have got some people together to do some interviews on this film. Why wouldn't Keanu want to come back and talk about Point Break? Keanu seems like a great guy. It feels like he would want to come back and talk about this film. But if he didn't, I just feel like somebody, Gary Busey, I know it's probably kind of out of the question. Patrick Swayze, of course, is no longer with us. But I just feel like somebody would have wanted to come back and talk about this film, a producer, an editor. Somebody could have come back and talked about this movie. They could have done audio commentaries on it or something. I just think it's unacceptable to not try to provide us with some special features, some new special features with your releases. These are boutique releases, and you're not charging any less when you don't have the special features. So give us our money's worth and add something new to these releases. So there you have it, guys. That is my review of Point Break. My only real negative here is I guess I have 2. The Dolby Atmos, I think, should have been included here. I think it would have added something to the sound. And the lack of special features, I just think is unacceptable. Everything else is great. I love the movie, and I think it looked awesome on 4K. So do I think you should pick this up? I think take what I have to say and decide for yourself at the end of the day. I'm happy I picked this up because I love the movie and I'm happy to have it in the best possible picture quality. So thank you all so much for watching my review of Point Break on 4K. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Comment down below your thoughts on Point Break, whether or not you're going to pick up this 4K release. I will link it down below in the description if you want to purchase this. Turn on those bell notifications for all future videos and follow me on all my social media accounts. Those links are down below in the description, and we'll see you next time.